Hi, this is Andy from GPS Training. In this next video, I'm going to show you how you can amend and rename a walking or off-road route that you've created in Basecamp software. In our previous exercises, we showed you how to create an off-road walking route, so we're now going to look at some of the amending and renaming. I've already got the Basecamp software open, it's just minimized at the minute on my Windows machine. So I'm just going to double click on the Basecamp logo at the bottom of my taskbar just to reopen up the software. And when I look in the top left hand window on the software, I can see the folders under my collection that I've already created. Just to check my GPS device is connected, I can see under devices I've got my Oregon 700 GPS, the one that I'm using today. I've already selected from maps my Garmin GB Discoverer Ordnance Survey map. So what I'm going to look at is a route that I've already created within one of the folders in my collection from one of the previous exercises. I've got a folder called Walking, a subfolder called Lake District, and in there I created a list file called Bowscale Fell, where in there I've actually got a route, a walking route that you can now see. If we look in the left hand window, now that I've got the Bowscale Fell list file highlighted, we can see the route. It's these three green boxes that tells me it's a direct walking route. It's got a name, Lake District, National Park 1 to Road 2. That's just a generic name that's been taken off information from the map. So I now need to rename that route, because when I send it to the GPS, I want that route to be found in my GPS as Bowscale Fell. So where we've got this route listed in the top left hand side of the screen in this window underneath Bowscale Fell, two ways I can rename the route. I can either right click along the existing route name, and one of the options in the drop down box that appears is rename. So I'm going to do that option first, select rename, and I can simply hit the backspace button on my keyboard and retype in my new name, Bowscale Fell. So I'm just going to type in the new name, Bowscale Fell, hit the return button on the keyboard, and now I've renamed that route. I'll show you the second way of renaming a route. If I look at my next list file down in the Lake District folder, I created a walking route called Scales Fell on one of the earlier training videos. So if I now highlight the list file called Scales Fell, inside there in that list file I can see there's three waypoints that are marked manually, and also there's the route. Again, it's these three green boxes, but this route this time has got the name of SF011 to 018. So again, I need to rename that because I want the route to be called Scales Fell. So rather than right clicking on the route and selecting the rename, I'm going to double click on the route. Just double click on the three green boxes, double left click with your mouse. We'll just give this a chance to open up, and what should open up on the screen is a route properties box, and when the route properties box opens, we can see a name along the top there, SF011 to 018, and that name that's listed along the top, I can simply hit the backspace and retype in the new name, Scales Fell, and then when I hit return on the keyboard and then close this box down, this properties box down, the route has now been renamed as Scales Fell. So that's just two ways to rename the route within the software. Now that I've renamed the route, I'm going to look at how you amend the route. You finish the route and you decide it needs some amending. You've maybe got some points where you don't want them, you want to add in some extra points, or you hadn't finished the route and want to continue it at the end. And also I can show you how you can erase any points that you don't want in the route. So on the screen now, where I've got these pink lines joined together, each of the little black dots are what we call via points or shaping points. So when I left clicked on the earlier exercise with the cursor to plan the route, I was marking a point where the footpath changed direction. To now amend these little black dots, these shaping points, the tools that we use, if I go into the tools menu, we have some tools at the bottom. Move point, insert and erase are the three we're going to look at. So that's from the tools menu. You can add these to a shortcut along the toolbar along the top of the software by simply going into the view menu, select toolbars, and the ones that we want to add are the edit features that haven't got a tick next to them at the moment. So if I tick left click next to edit features, I now have, if I highlight this route in the bottom left hand window, we've now got some route tools exactly the same as the ones from the tools menu, but just a quicker way of getting to them. We've got the insert, move point along the top left of the screen, and the erase, the little rubber symbol. So you can either find them from the tools menu, the move point, insert or erase, or if you go into the view and toolbars and make sure you've got edit features selected with a tick next to it. You should see these extra tools along your toolbar along the top. The tools will be greyed out unless you've actually got a route highlighted in the bottom left window, and then you see those tools come into life so you can actually use them. So where I'm looking at this route on the screen now, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select the insert point from the very far left hand tool at the top of my screen, insert, and now the little cursor is a pencil with a plus symbol next to it. Anywhere along the straight lines that I've created on the actual map page, I can add an extra point by simply, so if I look near the bottom of my route now where I've got the wording White Horse Bent, and there's a little line there, straight line coming down, if I move the cursor with this pencil plus symbol anywhere in the middle of that line and left click, I get an extra point added, and then I have to left click again if I want to add the point where it is, or I can move. You see these two grey lines moving now from the side of that straight line. I can actually move it and left click, and what it does, it adds an extra point in but actually moves that point at the same time. So that's how we simply add a point somewhere along a route. This is adding a point along the route at the moment. So I'm just going to go back to the hand tool. I always recommend you select the hand tool when you're finished editing a point in that way. Select the hand tool so you don't accidentally do another point. And then the next tool I'm going to look at is the next one along in the toolbars along the top, which is move point. Again, from the tools menu you can select it that way, the one called move point. Now if I use this move point, I've now got a little white arrow on the middle of the map page with a little white square next to it. That's the move point. So if I move this anywhere on any of these little black shaping points within my route, and then left click with the mouse and drag, and then left click again, I can actually move a point to a different position. So where I've got the wording Bannerdale near the top end of my route here, Bannerdale where the cursor is at the moment, if I move the cursor on one of the little black shaping points just below the wording Bannerdale and then left click with my mouse, I can then move that point and then left click and it moves the point. So that's actually dragged the point somewhere else. If I want to move the point back, I can simply left click on that black dot again, drag by keeping the left click down on the mouse, dragging the mouse so it's back down on the pink dotted line of my 1 to 50 map, the public footpath, let go, and as soon as you let go it moves the point to the new place that you'd moved it to. So that's how we move a point, by using the tools and move point tool. We're now going to look at the erase. So there's a tool called the erase, the little rubber symbol within tools. If I select the erase and now move the cursor in the screen, it's a little rubber symbol, and as soon as I move it on any of the black shaping points you get a red cross. So I can see near the bottom of this route next to the wording waterfall I've got a point that shouldn't be there, that's been put in by error. So if I move the erase symbol onto that little black shaping point next to the word waterfall near the bottom of the route and then simply left click, it'll erase that point out of the route. So that's disappeared now. If you erase a point by mistake, what you can do is, I'm just going to erase the point right at the very end of the route where it says scales fell, right at the bottom of the route. If I left click on there and delete that point, you can always go back a couple of steps and put something back by selecting from the top menu edit and undo, and if I select edit and undo, it's put that point back in now. Now I've still got the rubber symbol selected, the erase symbol, so again I want to go to the hand tool along the top and select the hand tool just so I don't accidentally erase something that I don't mean to. The final thing I'm going to look at on the tools is if you finish the route and then realise you hadn't quite completed it and you need to add something at the end of the route, an easy mistake to make is to just select the new route tool that we used when we actually created the route. So we can select this new route tool, but that would actually just create a brand new route within this list file. It wouldn't add to the end of the route. So you don't select the new route tool. If you want to add to the end of a route that you've created within the software with the route highlighted, you go back to the tools and you use the insert tool, insert point. If you go back to tools menu, select the insert, and then if you move the little cursor, the pencil symbol, to the very last point on your route, so you can see next to scales fell now, when I move the cursor to the very last point, I've got a black circle around that last shaping point. If I left click now on that very last point, I now get exactly the same as when we were creating the route in the earlier exercises, the little thin line at the end of the route, and I can now left click and add some extra points to the end of the route. Unfortunately, this doesn't let you add to the start of the route, but it does let you add to the end of the route. And again, as previously, when you're finished and you're happy with what you've done, you simply go to the hand tool just to finish that amending. And that's just some simple amending of the route. So just a little recap, we've opened up a route that we'd already created. We've renamed it by either right clicking on the route name that appeared when we first created it and selecting rename, or double clicking on the route name so that we bring up this properties box and retyping in the new name along the top. So just close that down, and then we've looked into the tools menu where we've got the move point, insert and erase tools. You can also add them to the toolbar along the top by going into view, toolbars and ticking the box that says edit features, and then you'll see when you highlight a route that you want to amend, you get these extra tools appear in the toolbars. I've got them along the top left of mine at the moment, and again we've got the insert, move point and erase, and we've basically used the insert tool by highlighting one of the black dots, in between two of the black shaping points to add an extra point. We used the move point by selecting the move point tool and highlighting one of the black dots and left clicking to move it, and then we used the erase tool. And finally, to add a point at the end of a route, we selected again the insert point and moved the cursor to the very last point on the route, left clicked and then started to add points at the end. And again, just remember when you're finished any editing that you select the hand tool at the top. So I hope you found this video useful on just some basic amending and renaming of an off-road route, and thanks for watching the video.